All right.
All right.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back to another episode of
The Hafu It. I feel like we're almost creating like another theme song for ourselves.
Nothing against our regular theme.
I live.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Welcome back. We are your hosts. I'm Kyoko.
I'm Sakura.
And this week we are going to be actually tackling a topic that was requested of us. We're going to be talking about tattoos or being inked.
Being inked. Yes. Yeah, so I think we're like mostly going to be talking about what it's like for like our community to be tattooed and tattoo culture within our community.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, we'll definitely go into some of our more personal experiences with tattooing and its significance in Japan. So
gorgeous.
We always have to start you guys off with a little bit of history. It is one of our tags. Asugi says, I've stolen it from you. So from as far as I've been able to find, historically, like Japanese historians would argue over exactly when tattooing first started in Japan. And just so everyone maybe is on the same page, tattooing in Japan or traditionally is called irazumi.
Oh shit.
I'm not actually 100% clear on exactly what the process of that is, but I'm pretty sure it's a little bit painful.
Traditional Japanese tattooing is all stick and poke.
Stick and poke, yeah. Okay.
Very painful.
Wonderful. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of debate on specifically when tattooing started up in Japan. I think something that is maybe like most well known when talking about Japan and tattooing is the whole taboo of it. You know? It's whether or not,
if you're not Asian and you're listening to this, especially in East Asia, tattooing is 100%. And it's not just like old people being like, young kids with tattoos. No, it's like literally culturally not okay to be tattooed.
Yeah. And I think like I'm part of a travel group too on Facebook. Girls love travel because we do. And I find anytime the ladies on that group are posting about or asking everyone questions about Japan, what they need to know about Japan, it's always questions like,
do I have to cover my tattoos?
Yeah, do I have to cover my tattoos? Where's an onsen that I can go to? Or am I going to get judged?
It's always about the onsen.
Yeah, always about the onsen.
It's always related to an onsen.
And obviously there's like a lot of debate about why that is. I think the most well-known reason is to do with like Yakuza, and we'll definitely kind of go into some very basic history on that a little bit later in this podcast. But generally there's like a lot of debate historically as to why tattoos have become so taboo in Japan. But generally, like, we do know that tattooing took a bit of a dark turn at one stage, and for about 1,000 years, think about that, like 1,000 years, tattooing was used as a form of branding and punishment for courtesans. Prisoners and criminals as well in Japan.
Yep, you were marked. That's how they knew that you were a bad person.
You're a bad person.
Bad person.
Notably, like, some people were branded with those tattoos and then began covering them with unique and beautiful body art. Though tattoos were officially kind of banned, the art form was actually still practiced among the lower classes, air quotes, lower classes.
Yeah, it's very underground.
Yeah, or the working class people of Japan. And then apparently thanks to foreign sailors in the 19th century, even though tattoos were still an illegal form of art, that the residents of the home country, to the residents of their home country, Japanese tattoos gained like global prominence. So that's kind of like a really basic history of tattooing in Japan.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of on that note, both Sakura and I are tattooed, as many of you already know.
Yep.
Talked about this, one of us more than the other for different reasons. And tell us about your tattoos, Sakura.
Let's get into it. So it's so funny. When I was planning on getting tattooed for the first time, I was underaged. And so it was like a mixture of me wanting to get it in a hidden place so that my parents wouldn't see it. But then there was also like the secondary thing of me not wanting to get a visible tattoo because it's so taboo in our culture.
Right.
And for a long time, the tattoos that I got were in places where, unless I was completely butt naked, you would never see the tattoo. If you've listened to our Sanrio episode, I talked about how my first tattoo is karopi, and karopi is up really high up on my thigh, kind of like just below my underwear line. So no one ever saw it, but it was so funny that that was in the back of my mind. Like, I can't get visible tattoos because that's just not okay, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think similarly for me when I was growing up, like my idea in general of getting a tattoo was always like very biased on what people have always told me, specifically like adults, right? Where they were like, oh, like I think even in westernized culture, for a really long time, tattoos symbolized like being a troublemaker, being someone who's like into things that you shouldn't be into.
Yeah, tattoos have kind of basically always been seen as like
A little bit taboo.
Yeah, like kind of less than reputable people would like have it, or people in the military. That was like the only two options: criminals or like the Navy.
Or like the lower class, like representing the lower class. Yeah, so that was, I grew up in Toronto, Ontario, so there was a lots of gang violence in the area that I grew up in. So, my mom was always like telling me like, you probably shouldn't get a tattoo. I think my dad was also pretty
Sugimoto-san?
Sugimoto-san, yeah, was
Really?
also somewhat against getting a tattoo, or at least maybe he just like made it seem that way when I was younger, so that I wouldn't do anything
Just normal
earlier
parent.
than maybe I would have otherwise.
Oh,
So,
like me.
no, whatever. I don't think I would have regretted anything if I had done it back
No
then.
regrets.
No regrets.
Yeah.
But yeah, similarly, I was always kind of told like you cannot get tattoos. So I don't even think I really like thought about getting tattoos until my later teens.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
It keeps going.
8, 9. I have 9 tattoos. Now lots of them are visible on my legs. Obviously, like my legs can be like covered, so like my arms are completely bare. But I do actually have a tattoo on the back of my neck, like the entire back of my neck is tattooed. So I don't, she's gonna have to keep her hair down when she's in Japan.
Well, I think from my understanding of the current view of tattoos in Japan, like if it's usually not as much of an issue if you're just out in public.
And like they'll see me as a foreigner, so it's not gonna be the biggest deal.
100%. Yeah, it means something a little bit different. I was reading, somebody was telling a story when I was doing some research for this about how they were in Japan, they were on the metro system, and there was a local who was there, and he spotted this person's tattoos, and they like rolled up their sleeve just enough so that the person telling the story could see that they also had a tattoo that was a little bit more like tribal.
Right.
So it was probably a traditional Japanese tattoo, and they like the stranger took a picture of the foreigner's tattoos.
Okay.
Out of, I guess, just general interest. But it almost seemed like, I think it was like a non-verbal exchange.
Yeah, you got tattoos, I got tattoos.
Yeah, I imagine that it's probably something really cool. It seems that in modern day Japan, there's starting to be some like underlying efforts, I guess, to bypass that idea.
Mm-hmm.
I hope.
Yeah. I follow like a lot of like Japanese rappers and Japanese musicians. They're all very heavily tattooed, but what I hear from them, it's still like very much frowned upon. Like you are viewed as being lower class if you have tattoos.
Japan's very like traditional in that sense.
Very traditional, where somewhere in like South Korea, where it's still very much not okay to get tattooed, it's becoming a little bit more common. To find tattoo artists that are actually like open about being tattoo artists and not like fully underground.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, times are changing. We'll see.
We'll see.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a very, very long time that it's been like this, but, maybe,
I was pretty sure, I'm not entirely sure what the point of view was on tattoos with my oji-san, my oba-san growing up. I don't think I ever actually discussed tattoos with them necessarily. I think the closest thing that I really ever heard about them in regards to tattoos was that my aunt asked my oji-san to write her name in Japanese kanji.
Okay.
So that she could get it tattooed on her lower back. But I'm not sure. Yeah, that's her tramp stamp. Is her own
People
name
have their lower back tattoos.
tattooed in
Why
kanji.
that spot?
You
I want to
know?
know. Why that spot?
And it's her own name, so
I mean,
fantastic.
Gorgeous.
So I don't know. Like, I don't know if she had told him that in advance, that she wanted it written on a paper so that she could get it tattooed, or if she just asked him to write it out. I would like to, in my mind, believe that he knew that it was for a tattoo, because I feel like he's probably, like, he would have seen it, with that early 2000s gig with wearing this super low-rise jeans.
Low cut jeans. If you had a tramp stamp, it could not be covered even if you wanted it to be.
That was the point. That was the point of it all. So, yeah, I don't know. I would like to believe that was the case. It's funny because I don't think I ever really told either of them about the tattoos that I got, but I don't think that was a conscious decision. I just didn't think it was super relevant. I didn't think that it was something that either of them would care to talk to me about.
Right.
I think they also acknowledge that I was so far removed from our culture growing up. Like, I had this conversation with my dad recently where my dad was like, it's too bad that, because when he was growing up, he used to go to the Japanese Cultural Center in Toronto.
Hell yeah.
And go to all of these events with my great-grandparents, and he was really exposed to that, but he didn't really appreciate it enough growing up due to a lot of, like, racism and internalized racism, stuff like that. Just
trying to be as white as possible to
the assimilation.
The
assimilation.
We love it. The white names.
And he was like, it's too bad that you didn't get exposed to any of that, because, obviously I lacked a lot of that growing up. So I don't know, maybe my grandparents just assumed that even if I had told them, they probably would have just been like, oh, yeah, well, she doesn't have the Japanese traditions, I guess, ingrained in her head enough.
Right.
But I did think about it growing up a lot, where I was like, I don't know how the elders will think about that.
Right.
But I think I didn't really start to actually think about that until I was going to actually go to Japan.
Right.
And we were going to go to a ryokan in Kyushu, and we're going to have to be naked. I'm really lucky. Like, Sakura has quite a few tattoos. I currently only have 3, and 2 of them are quite small. Yeah, my larger one is even not that big. It's a couple inches long. I have, my first ever tattoo was a heart, and I'm not even ashamed of it. It's really cute.
It's the stereotypical heart.
Yeah, it's a stereotypical
Everyone has
heart.
that heart. Yeah.
And a couple years back, our tattoo artist, our current tattoo artist, put up like a promo for February that year, and he was gonna do heart tattoos for X amount of money for anyone who did that tattoo in the month of February for Valentine's Day, etc.
Oh my God.
And my best friend, my husband, who we've talked about a lot.
Your non-romantic life partner?
My non-romantic life partner and I. My non-romantic queer life partner and
Your queer life partner,
yeah. We have such, like, a special connection. He knew that I always really wanted a tattoo, and he was thinking of going to do it. And I was like, well, I've always wanted a tattoo, and I don't know, like, if I wanted my first tattoo to be something really big. I feel like it was a good trial run.
Yeah.
Both for knowing what it was going to feel like to get a tattoo, to grow accustomed to having something that was permanent inked into my body. And it was great. It was really cute. We got it on the, I have my heart on the inner part of my right wrist, on, like, the right-hand side, I guess, of my wrist. And he has it on his inner left wrist. So when we put our wrists together, they're directly next to each other. So that was really cute. I will always think of him when I look at that. My second tattoo was again from the same tattoo artist, and he was doing another flash promo, and it was just a lot of different like plants. I think there were a couple other options, and I always thought it would be cute to have like a fern tattooed somewhere, and I've always wanted like an ankle tattoo or a foot tattoo. Right. So that was my next step, and he shaded it differently for each person who got that piece, right? So that you would still have something that was more or less unique to you, right? And that one was just for me. It's something that I wanted to do, so. That was me taking, like, smaller steps into getting something bigger. Totally. I knew that eventually when I found out what my family crest was growing up, that I was going to get that tattooed in some form or way. I literally, too, always pictured it just being the kemon. But my tattoo artist got super creative about it, which inspired me to get really creative about it. So it was really exciting over the last year, 2 years almost, when... I've been doing a lot of research into my own family history and stuff like that. And when I finally got in contact with my family currently living in Japan, I finally found out my kemon. And that was really special. It's something that no one else in my Japanese family in Canada knew what it looked like. Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure my Oji-san, Oba-san, like, never really talked about it. We don't have any, like, belongings that have that on it. Yeah. Except for the family sword that was stolen during World War II. Sold off somewhere. Gorgeous. That's a story for another time. So my other, like, larger tattoo is on my left forearm on the inner side. And it's about, I don't know, Saku, 3 inches long?
I'd say 3 inches.
3 inches long. And it's a Japanese festival lantern that has my kemon on top. And then in a dangling ornament from the lantern, it's my family name in kanji. So beautiful. It's just a full representation of Sugimoto. Yeah. And definitely a good identifier for something really morbid. But oh my God. I've always wanted that. So I was really excited to work on that project with my tattoo artist when that came about. Yeah. And that one was tattooed on me after I met my family in Japan. Yeah. I don't think I've told them that I got this done.
I love that.
Just because I wasn't sure how they were going to react to that. If they were going to be like, oh, this like distant cousin of ours, this Hafu, decided to take our family like insignia.
Oh my God.
Somehow though, I also know deep down that they probably wouldn't, or if they did think it, they'd probably never say that to me.
Oh my God.
Because my uncle, who I email on and off, or have been emailing over the last over a year now, has been super forthcoming with all of our family's private information. He was even before we even really met, which I thought was a crazy level of trust for
gorgeous
a 90-something-year-old Japanese man. Yeah, who had never heard of, never seen me. Mm-hmm. We were speaking over email before we met, and he actually had sent over like the family's koseki, and the family insignia and everything like that. And so I think that if he had that level of trust in me with very sensitive documents like that, even before meeting me, I'm hoping that they're a good representation of our relationship now, having talked at least like a couple times a month over the last year. Will have solidified that. Right. For when he eventually finds out that I got that tattooed on me.
Oh my God.
But when I was down there, they saw the heart tattoo. It's a little more difficult to hide. Yeah. It's pretty far up my wrist. Yeah. Yeah. My ankle one, very easy to hide, obviously, with like a bit of a taller sock. Right. But yeah, the heart is all up in there, all up in your face.
Incredibly visible.
Yeah. It peeks out from my sleeves. And I got short arms, so...
Ah, you got short arms.
She got short arms. She got small hands. Ah. Yeah. So, and no one ever said anything to me about it. But again, gorgeous. I think like if Japanese people see a foreigner with like a dolphin tattoo or butterfly tattoo, they're like, whatever.
Totally. I've even seen videos where like people will walk around the streets of Tokyo and stop people and be like, what do you think of like this like tattoo? And for the most part, they're pretty like interested in the fact that someone has such like a large tattoo. So yeah. Yeah, I think if you're a foreigner, it's fine.
Yeah, well, especially if it's just something like...
Yeah. Especially if it's a nice tattoo. If it's a well done tattoo, you can just appreciate art for being art, you know?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if anyone wants to find me and Kyoko's current tattoo artist, their name is Michael, and they are the owner, the proprietor of Memoria Tattoo, which is on West 4th.
Memoria Tattoo,
In between Maple and
Cypress.
Yeah, so definitely check them out. Memoria.
We'll make sure to list their Instagram at the end of this as well, so that you can check out his style.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you scrolled all the way down, you can find mine and Sakura's tattoos. We'll try and post some over the course of the week that this episode goes out.
Oh my God.
Some photos.
Of my janky.
Oh, your tattoos aren't janky.
No, his tattoos are beautiful. Some of my early tattoos, because again, I was being tattooed underage, I had to find people that were okay with
to do it.
Tattooing an underaged kid. And so it was usually people just starting out. So a lot of my tattoos are straight up like jailhouse tattoos. It looks like someone did it with like a safety pin and like loose dye.
Maybe you just need to get them touched up or something.
No, I actually like them.
Yeah, like they look fine to me.
It like, I don't think you've seen my foot tattoo.
I was like, I don't think I've seen all of your tattoos.
The foot tattoo is rough, honey, but I love it. Like it's such a marker of like where I was back then in my life, because I was very much like a gutter punky, really rough around the edges person. So that just really showcases where I was at that point in my life. And that's what I really love. Like each one of my tattoos has such, is such a marker of what was happening to me at that point in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever change any of them, but some of them are like very not well done. But as an adult, all of my tattoos have obviously been amazing. Michael at Memoria, their tattoo on my calf is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. They do lots of like single needle work, lots of very delicate lines.
Yeah, he's very much like a fine line artist.
Yes, yeah. And does lots of like kind of more like gothy, kind of like morbid stuff, all the way to like busts and like Roman statues and ornamental things, like just beautiful.
Yeah, and they're
a beautiful person.
They really are.
Like a beautiful soul. They're also just beautiful. Their physical form.
We are truly
if you want a hot tattoo artist to tattoo.
Also just like a body positive tattoo artist. Like
body positive if you're of the like LGBTQ plus community, if you're a person of color, like any marginalized person, they are down.
Yeah.
It's and just they're so witchy, inclusive. Honey. Oh, and they're witchy AF.
So you know that they're definitely
down. They're woke.
Mine and Sakura's like person.
Yeah,
they're perfect. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like Sakura and I are both like very sensitive when it comes to our body. You know, as a lot of people are.
Oh my God,
the body dysmorphia is real.
Hardcore body dysmorphia.
Understandable.
Yeah.
But he always finds the perfect way to, I don't know, like to make you feel better or to make you feel comfortable. I should put it, because I'm a really sweaty person. I remember the first time I sat in his chair, I was like dripping. Sliding, dripping. And he was like, "Oh my God, like feel my hand, like feel it. It's disgusting."
Touch me.
Yeah.
This
was my heart tattoo.
Was it pre-COVID? Oh, yeah, it was pre-COVID.
It was pre-COVID.
For those listening, it was pre-COVID.
Yeah. But I took my 16-year-old sister to get tattooed with him as well for her first two tattoos. Yeah. And one of them was up on the titty. And it was like her upper titty tat.
A TT.
And she was just getting like a cursive word tattooed there. I forget for the life of me now what it was called. Or sorry, what it
What
was.
it was.
But he was really hilarious at making her feel better about like having to be pretty exposed on the table.
Yeah.
Obviously, he like literally fashioned a cover for her to make her feel better, and she's like this thin, beautiful like thing.
Mixed race
Yeah.
Filipino goddess.
And
She's so
with like
beautiful.
the body, and she's
body, yada, yada,
she's
yada,
very
yada.
self-conscious too, and he was so good about that and
Yeah.
making her feel comfortable in that space too. I've never met another tattoo artist who's been as accepting and welcoming to everyone the way that Michael is.
Just such a gentle soul. I've been tattooed by a few gentlemen in the tattoo industry, and I don't want to like blanket statement men in the tattoo industry, but I don't know. It's very hard to find a very like sensitive, like woke, progressive male tattoo artist, at least for myself. Mm-hmm. I've even been like tattooed and they've said like racially insensitive things while I'm being tattooed, or misogynistic things. And I'm like in the middle of the tattoo and I can't just like get up and leave. And I'm just like, ugh. I try to only get tattooed by like queer people or like femmes. But as soon as I met Michael, I was like, they are the one, like 100% their style, their personal style, how they dress. Yeah. I'm very like sensitive to people's energies, so I could just like read them immediately. And I'm like, you are such a good person. Yeah. I will 100% like support your art, and I 100% want your art on my body.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're like becoming increasingly more popular, which is really cool. Busy. Yeah.
Book your appointment now.
Book your appointment. Yeah. Book in advance. Book like well in advance. Yeah. But yeah, look them up.
Oh, so good.
On the Insta.
Yeah. A lot of my tattoos, like from those said gentlemen's, were at like Hell's Angels owned tattoo shops.
In Alberta?
No. So, yeah, I was born in Vancouver, but my family moved up to the Okanagan when I was a small child. And that's where I grew up, unfortunately. But in the Okanagan, there's a very, very heavy Hells Angels influence. The city that I lived in, they owned so many of the hotels, so many of the nightclubs. All of the tattoo and piercing places were owned by Hells Angels. So my early experiences, because obviously they're fine with tattooing underage people because the tattoo shop
Hell's
was just
Angels.
a front. So yeah, just really gross men touching me and tattooing me. Luckily enough, I found a lovely woman who was just starting out in the city that I was growing up with, and she was more than happy to tattoo me, almost as practice, which is why some of my tattoos are really jacked up. But yeah, so I grew up in an environment that was very like gang related and very like biker. Yeah. So coming to Vancouver and being tattooed by like artistic, like very artistic, like usually, you know, kids who went to like art school, like Emily Carr students who are now tattooing, like stuff like that.
Yeah, someone that I went to school with is a stick and poke artist now.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's just such a different experience. It's such a different experience. Yeah. It's really important. Like, if you don't care about tattoos, it's fine, go to anyone. But if you do actually care about tattoos, it does actually matter who's putting the ink into your skin, because their energy is going into that. And the memory of them will always be attached to that tattoo. So you want to make sure it's a good person that's tattooing you.
Yeah, and your experience
with that.
research.
Do your research.
Yeah,
Look
it's probably one of the most annoying parts about seeking out like tattoo artists and stuff like that is like you look up the studio, But maybe there's not an artist there that matches the exact style that you're looking for, so you gotta go look at a different one. It's a lot of research.
It's a lot of
but
research.
It's a lot of research for something that is going to be on you forever.
That's why when you find your tattoo artist,
Yeah.
you become so fiercely loyal to them.
I'm so attached.
I know people who will like follow their tattoo artist. Like my brother had a tattoo artist that he loved, and he flew to Montreal just so that he could get a tattoo done by him.
Yeah.
Because he moved to Montreal. So my brother was like, okay,
Yeah.
guess I'm going to Montreal.
And I mean, did I tell you that Nick and I went to go see Michael like a couple months back around Christmas time, and we were telling him, you know, that we will probably not be around for much longer at the shop, and that's really sad because we always like see each other across the street, and we're like, hello, like,
Michael,
when we were like passing by, and he was like, oh, that's so sad, like, where are you going? And we were talking to him about how Nick was gonna maybe go to Scotland, and we were gonna maybe go to Japan.
Yep.
And he was so stoked that we were going to Japan. He was like,
shut
oh
up,
my God.
wait, what?
Yeah, he was like, I might need to do like a pop-up shop in Japan. And I was like,
my God.
I would straight up die.
I would cry.
Oh my God, when your tattoo artist follows you.
It's the dream.
Iconic.
I was going to briefly touch on my feels towards foreigners getting traditional Japanese tattoos, but I think maybe I'll save that for a later episode.
Want to delve into it?
I can delve into it. I can always like pop off on my social.
Oh my God, she's gonna go on social media.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm actually gonna go on to Instagram for once.
Well, I think it's relevant to bring it up in this episode because we've talked a bit about some of the histories and origins of like Japanese tattoos.
Yeah.
And we've talked about how historically there have been a lot of foreigners who had come to Japan way back when who had brought inspiration of Japanese tattoo artistry to the Western world. Yeah, so that's a great relevant point to bring up.
So this is just my personal opinion. This is just my PP. In terms of getting things from like kind of like modern Japanese culture, like if you want to get some Miyazaki tattoos, if you want to get some Spirited Away tattoo, if you want a Hello Kitty tattoo, anything like that, I am completely fine with.
Yeah.
That I have like no issue with.
It's already like parts of the culture that are shared very
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And there's no like historical relevance between like Hello Kitty and like ancient traditional Japan. So, you know, that's fine. What I do have an issue with is people who are not Japanese, who are getting traditional Japanese tattoos. The tattoos that you would only see organized crime wearing, you would only see like they are literally Yakuza tattoos, and you're getting them done by people who aren't even Japanese. So it's like a white guy doing it onto a white guy. That 100% for me, again, my personal opinion, is not okay. I think that's so culturally inappropriate because, one, you have no idea what you're doing, which already does not show any respect towards the culture. You didn't do any research. You don't know what any of the symbols are called. You don't know what any of the imagery is called. And then two, if you did know, the fact that you had that knowledge and you still got those style of tattoos done, I just think it's so disrespectful. I'm instantly triggered when I see a white person with like a full Japanese sleeve.
And we did see someone recently.
100%. Yeah. I do not think that's okay. And there's always in the tattoo community kind of a back and forth, and it's so funny because it's always with people who aren't even Japanese. But people in the tattoo community believe that any tattoo style from any indigenous culture is just fair game because it's just a tattoo without any sort of knowledge of the cultural relevance to that. It's just cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
You're not showing any sort of respect to that culture whatsoever.
Well, it's like interesting that we're on this topic too, because the same thing comes up a lot, and I feel like people are way more understanding when you bring up things like Maori tattoos.
I'm not going to get a Pacific Islander tattoo.
No.
I think they're beautiful.
Yeah.
I think they're some of the most beautiful tattoos
But that's
ever.
not us.
I'm not putting that onto my body.
Yeah.
That's so disrespectful.
Culturally, like, yeah, like, that's not appropriate. And you'd think that, like, people are know that and, like, understand that way more than they understand the why they can't just go and get a giant sleeve,
a Yakuza tattoo.
They don't understand. They're like, oh, it's so cool. It's like gang. It's like cool. No.
You know, I can't even.
It's the same deal. It's the same as going out and getting like a Maori tattoo or something like that. Also from someone who has no idea.
Isn't Maori.
Who is not Maori.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. If you are a white person and you like went to Japan and you got a traditional Japanese tattoo done by a Japanese person,
beautiful.
That's a different story.
They chose to, because like Sakura already said, they are giving you you get what they give, right? So that's kind of the thing.
Yeah, totally. It's not some white guy down the street at your local tattoo parlor.
They have the liberty to be able to choose that.
Exactly.
Which is probably why they have it like that. Where,
totally.
You get what you get.
Totally. And like there's so many nuances to like indigenous tattoos. Mm-hmm. So unless your tattoo artist somehow studied that and knows all of the nuances, which way things are supposed to be facing, how things are supposed to be shaded. Like if you're going to do a traditional Japanese tattoo and you're not even getting it done properly, that again is not showing any sort of respect to the culture.
No. And the sensitivity of those people too, who are like, oh, well, I only got it done by a tattoo artist here who's white and isn't like of that culture, because if I were to go there and ask for it traditionally, I wouldn't get it. No, you wouldn't get it. No,
and there's
for sure they wouldn't
reason you wouldn't
There's
get
a
it.
reason you are not meant to have that mark on your body.
No. And you have your own, everyone has their own culture.
Yeah.
There's a ton of artwork that you can take from your culture.
Go get your crest tattooed on you.
Your crest, like, I don't know, like images, fairy tales from your culture, like anything. And then there's North American culture. There's like traditional American tattoo. Like there's so many different like North American tattoo styles. You don't need to go and get like the indigenous artwork from cultures that you're not a part of tattooed on your body.
No.
But anyways, that's just my
these are
two
just our
cents
opinions. No, I think it's brilliant that you're bringing that up. It's just, I think it's really like upsetting to me when I hear people be so calm and understanding about, like different, like other cultures outside of Japanese culture and it not being appropriation, but because Western culture is already so bathed in Japanese culture, they find it. Oh, they're bathed in it.
They're bathed in it.
Sakura, come down.
They're bathed in the rising sun.
In the rising sun. Yeah.
Basking in its rays.
The traditional Japanese tattoos are only for the children, the descendants of the sun god. Let's be real.
Oh my god.
I mean, I'm mostly kidding, but also I'm not kidding. So
there's tons of stuff from Japanese culture that you can get tattooed. Again, you want a Hello Kitty tattoo, you want no face on you, like whatever.
Fantastic.
100% go for it.
Get it.
I love it. I love seeing it.
Show us your no face tattoo.
Yes.
But like, just because you want to be Japanese doesn't mean you have earned or deserve.
Yes. Or just because you see something and you want it doesn't mean that it's yours to take.
Just because you want that tattoo doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna get that tattoo.
Right.
Quote Gia Gunn.
Oh my.
I mean, misquote Gia Gunn.
Oh my god, our Japanese queen. Oh my god. I love how often we reference Drag Race on this show.
It's what we spend most of our time doing.
It's our main thing, let's be real.
We share a subscription anyway.
We do.
Yeah, that's how close we are.
Ooh, we'll definitely do a Drag Race episode.
Ooh.
Okay.
Sakura just mouthed, oh fuck yeah, to me.
So funny.
Did your family, like, how does your family in general, like, your dad feel about tattoos? Your tattoos and your brother's tattoos?
I don't think initially they liked it, but by the time I was getting tattooed, I was already heavily pierced. So, in like on, let's just say on my head alone, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 piercings.
Beautiful.
So on my face, on my ears. So I was already pierced up. So I think at that point they were just like, there's nothing we can do.
She was alternative the house down.
She was done. Oh, yeah. It wasn't a phase, Mom and Dad. Sorry about it.
Dear Mom and Dad.
It's not a phase. It's
Who's
ongoing.
a phase now?
So yeah, I think they were fine with it. And
How do you... Sorry, continue.
And it's so funny because my brother is heavily tattooed.
Yeah.
Like, he's losing real estate. Like, there's not a lot of empty space left on my brother. And yeah, they're completely fine with it. I feel like I kind of...
warmed them up.
I warmed them up. Yeah. So funny. I love that my brother like turned out super alternative like me.
Right, because you were saying that when he was in school, he was like more he was like a popular kid.
He was, yeah, and still like very fashionable, but more kind of like hipster, I
Right.
guess. And then near the end of high school, he started getting like really like grungy, and he was always into like death metal and stuff like that. But the city that we lived in was very like isolated, so we didn't get exposure to a lot of like fashion and stuff like that. So there was just nowhere
Yeah.
to buy cool, edgy clothing. But yeah, my brother now is like so alternative street style, like super gothy, like, yeah, love my brother's style. I think it's so funny that we both ended up being so alternative.
It's awesome.
I live. And then there's my sister, the little like
The good
Club
girl.
Monaco, like
Yes.
Marc Jacobs,
Oh
like
my
Michael
God.
Kors looking. She's got her Coach bag, like
On the wrist. On the
she's
limp
living
wrist.
that white realness.
Oh my God. She's living in a fantasy.
She's living in a white fantasy.
She's a Barbie
honey.
girl in her Barbie
Oh
world.
my God.
Life is plastic. So fantastic.
Oh my God. Anyways, I feel like I like shade my sister and her
We love our family.
and her family like so much, but I love her so
Yeah.
much, and I
You
love
gotta be able to take the
love
piss,
my
right?
family and my extended family,
Yeah.
so it's all out of
fine.
love.
Having siblings is taking the piss at them
It's
anytime
taking,
you can.
you know, yeah.
It's fine.
So funny.
How do you think your Oba-san would have felt about?
Yeah. Again, I think because she already saw me alternative, like I was already like kind of gothy, punky.
Right.
Before I even got tattoos, I'm sure she would have been fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard to say.
Yeah. Do you think there's something about because we've talked a little bit about like the assimilation of our Japanese families to their immigration lives here in Canada. Do you think the assimilation itself might have had a lot to do with maybe some of the changed ideas of like around tattoos? Because we're like, maybe it sounds like we're making a really big deal about the tattoo situation with Japanese Japanese opinions and stuff like in Japan. We're really not. It's
no.
like you'll straight up get thrown out of a lot of places. Like
You won't even be allowed into places.
politely. Like, you'll be asked to
Yeah.
leave though, and it'll be embarrassing if you don't do your research properly ahead of time. But places like that usually have like, it's no secret. Like, it'll be pictures on the outside of their business.
Oh yeah. And
No
as a
tattoos
tattooed
allowed.
person, you would have to like research beforehand and be like, are tattooed people allowed in this place? I had like friends who went to Japan who were heavily tattooed, and they would sit down on the subway and people would actually get up and like move away from them.
Yeah, like I'm lucky because 2 of my tattoos are very easy to hide. So it was good that I didn't get the bigger one and slightly bigger one.
On your face.
Until I was back, because that would have been harder for me to conceal.
Yeah.
Whereas at least I could have put a Band-Aid over like the
Oh
heart
my
or the
God, I have a
fern.
boo-boo.
A little boo-boo.
Oh.
But yeah, it is a big deal. So it's gonna be interesting when we are eventually in Japan.
But it's so crazy being on Instagram, the amount of like Asian Americans and Asian Canadians that are heavily tattooed.
Yeah.
I follow so many, and it's like head to toe face tattoos, just like heavily tattooed. I love seeing it.
Yeah, it's really
We're
like
breaking
beautiful.
down
It's a
those-
great like sense of like self-expressionism
Totally.
for our people too,
Totally.
right? Because there's so little of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it's a lot of it is like suppressed or repressed in our family's
and so
generation.
we can like actually tattoo our culture like into our skin.
Yeah, like quite literally, or
Yes.
or just express yourself in different ways, especially like apart from fashion, which is also like we've done a Harajuku episode.
Yes.
Similar concept, but rerouting because I took us off course a little bit.
As we normally do.
But back to you guys are. This isn't a surprise to any of you. I hope.
Yeah.
But back to the assimilation of the Japanese Canadian community, I suppose, and
Here we
like.
go.
Do you think, well, just lightly. Well, yeah, we won't get anything too heavy today. But I wonder if a lot of those opinions are or genuine opinions in like some of the elders, like maybe like
if
our
it was
family.
their own opinion,
Yeah,
or if it was
just something that they kind of had to accept.
Totally.
And I guess like pretend to embrace
totally
in order to assimilate better into Canadian culture.
Yeah.
When we were, air quotes, welcomed back into society.
Totally. Yeah. I think we would have to look into how tattoo culture was just for the general public.
Yeah.
Because I have met a lot of, because the city I had to grow up in the Okanagan was very like old. The average age was like 55 or something. And yeah, they, besides not liking me because I wasn't white, besides not liking me because I'm LGBTQ plus, me having tattoos and piercings like was not okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think we would just have to look into whether or not Canadian culture in general was super on board with tattoos to know whether or not it affected our community as we tried to assimilate.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it would have to count on some level, like that might be why. I think maybe a good example to give, at least like for me personally, was my Oba-san. Just increasingly, I think over her life became a lot more just at peace with like way more
chilled out.
Yeah, old people in general give no fucks.
They give no fucks.
No, like none of it.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe those opinions might have been like built up inside of her when she was younger.
Right.
Like I know that my dad's mom and my aunt would never have gotten away with stuff like that.
Yes.
You know, like they were the first children who were like pure Japanese with my great grandparents who like chase them around the house and like beat them, you know, with like the bamboo stick or whatever.
Oh, the kendo sword.
They got the they got the kendo sword.
My dad
beatings.
had the kendo sword.
Oh my god. But for example, then when my dad was born and my grandmother was quite young when my dad was born, that started to change a little bit. Like my dad, I don't think got like beaten necessarily. It was like a little.
Ooh, what are we getting into here?
I don't know. I hope that everyone's taking this as humorous as I'm intending it to be.
Hopefully we're not triggering anyone.
Just in the funniest way possible.
Yeah.
Just imagine this like old Oba-san
just
like chasing with like her cane or something.
Oh my god.
Hilarious. But then, you know, further and further into different generations, fourth generation, my generation.
Ooh, your gen?
Just like not my gen.
The fourth gens?
Yeah. We joked a lot at her funeral when I was when I was giving my eulogy. I was like, you know, I grew up with Grandma Irene for a lot of my earlier life, but then when I got to know her, it was Grandma Aiko.
Hell yeah.
And I think that that's a really good like insignia of maybe even if it did start out as kind of an assimilation front, like a front of having to change your beliefs and changing like everything that you knew and grew up with. Yeah, I'm so sorry. That I think seeing the successes of everything that the first and second generations of our families have overcome has like done enough to show that stuff like that doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And I think being like removed from Japan, maybe those things just year by year became more and more diluted until it just didn't matter.
Yeah, because I know when I met my family in Japan, and even now, like when I'm talking to my uncle, sometimes like there'll be things that I have to explain about our culture here that just don't make any sense to him because in Japan they run things very differently.
Totally.
Like he thought it was interesting, for example, that my last name was Sugimoto.
Okay.
Because I'm not a boy. And only the men carry the last name.
Okay.
In Japan.
Yes.
I'm not saying that like daughters aren't given like the Japanese name, but technically like my dad shouldn't have kept the Sugimoto name to begin with.
Okay.
Because his mom would technically like married off to a white man.
Right.
Right? So he would under like in Japan, if this were happening in Japan, would have inherited the father's last name.
Yes.
And then,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, sorry.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm not going about this in like the best way.
Okay. I get it now. If you could see me, I was just looking at Kyoko with this wide-eyed. This wide-eyed deer in the headlight. Like, what is happening?
But like,
no, totally. Yeah. Okay, yeah,
But even then, like, I think I remember I told him when I first met him that even if I get married, I would never change my last name.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give it up for anything, and that was hard for him to understand.
Totally.
But he was not upset about it, which is, I think, another thing that really shocked me, because the Japanese are very protective of their traditions, and it's why they've lasted for so long.
Hell yeah, can't bring us down.
Of, like 1,000 years, tattoos were considered illegal and taboo. Like, tattooing was only finally legalized in Japan by the occupation forces in 1948. That's wild. That's not even that long ago. Mm-hmm. Like, it was by, like, our life measurements and standards, but that's not that long ago. 1,000 years. So I can only imagine how, like, especially if, like, today, if tattoos were legalized in 1948 in Japan, that the idea is still very old.
Yes.
Very in the old ways.
Totally. Well, because you don't see a lot of heavily tattooed people in Japan unless they are from
because that old idea has been passed on generation to generation. So especially in like the old country, right? Like, I'm lucky maybe that my family moved away from the old country for the most part, and they live like closer to Tokyo. Even like the elders in the family live closer to Tokyo now. So maybe he's more progressive for like a 90-something-year-old Japanese man.
It'll be very interesting if we end up living in like rural Japan, how they're going to feel about my tattoos.
Yeah. That's actually interesting to talk about too, because we've kind of talked a little bit about our plans to move to Japan, when pandemic stuff is all figured out and as soon as we're able to in the panorama.
In the panini?
The Pandora. The Pandora.
The Pandora.
The Pilaf.
Yeah. The polenta.
But when I was interviewing for, because we're planning on going to Japan because I'm planning on teaching English in Japan. Yeah. So I'm in the final stages of that process right now. I think it's safe to talk about that now. Now that we're almost all the way to the finish line. Yeah. And hopefully if I get placed, then we'll get, We'll be able to go to Japan together. And
we're going regardless.
But it would be very convenient. Yeah.
And like extended.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I think one of the questions that's like part of the health form that you have to fill out for even tattoos? Like before you get the interviews is, are you tattooed? Mm-hmm. Because it would change where you would get placed.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure I like briefly described in my application.
I'm heavily tattooed.
Where my 3 tattoos are.
My 3 little tattoos.
Tatted. Well, that's the thing. Like, I want to get a much larger tattoo that is very like representative as well of my Japanese upbringing. I actually have 2 in mind that I want to get. Both of them connected to my Japanese heritage.
Gorgeous.
One of them I wanted to get like some representation of both of my great-grandparents. Yep. We've talked a little bit about this. I have some kind of like controversial ideas for that tattoo, but I'll save that maybe for another episode.
Oh my God.
And then I wanted to get like a larger, like not quite a sleeve, but like a much larger like arm tattoo.
Arm piece. Yeah. I love.
Is maybe just like a portrait of maybe the land that my family comes from.
Gorgeous.
Maybe
a landscape tattoo.
A landscape tattoo.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But like if obviously I don't know if I'll get that tattoo until after I'm finished with this program or until I'm like in the middle of it. Because you and I have talked before about wanting to go get a traditional Japanese tattoo.
While we're in Japan. Oh,
100%. Yeah, I would love that. I'd actually
Traditional
love to do
and
more
otherwise.
research on what that would entail, just in regards to like what designs are available for that.
Yeah.
Because I think they might be similar to some other countries, like in the Philippines, their traditional tattoos are very representative of their indigenous peoples and their tribes and the earlier.
Well, I know like some tattoo artists who do it traditionally in Japan, you get whatever they give you.
Right, yeah.
Like they look at you, they assess the energy, and then you just get whatever you get.
I'm kind of down for that.
I'm 1,000% down for that.
I think that's beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
But yeah, it'll be interesting because obviously it'll be nice if I get placed because at least they know that I'm tattooed.
Yeah.
So wherever we do get placed, and I already know that we're going to get placed somewhere in like the Inaka. So like somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Oh God.
And at least we'll know that like people more or less don't have that big of a deal with tattoos. So hopefully in my
dreams. The
dreams.
Oba sons and the OG sons are not going to be down with me. But it's fine.
We'll learn to speak Japanese, and they'll at least have to respect us for that.
Oh, my God.
You know.
Us on our Duolingo, desperately trying to learn.
Today we went to go get Japanese food from a local Japanese place that Sakura's been going to for over a decade of her life. And as we were approaching, she was like, okay, I'm going to go in and get the food. Meanwhile, you try and read the hiragana.
The hiragana
out on the window. And I was like, ooh, because I just finished learning hiragana and katakana. Well, I'm in the middle of katakana.
Yeah, I'm like...
I almost don't really care for katakana.
I can't even do katakana.
It's very difficult. But I did. She did it.
She did it. You did it.
We're on our way.
We are on our way. And honestly, even if we can't understand what we're saying, just being able to like pronounce it, like read out hiragana so we can at least ask someone like what this is.
Well, that's like a good skill for like ordering out at restaurants or like if you're at a 7-Eleven, you can at least I don't know, spell it out.
Yeah, totally.
For other people.
Totally.
I think it's almost more impressive to be able to read hiragana than it is to speak Japanese.
Yeah.
All of it is impressive.
Well, because like it's such a mixture. Like hiragana will always have like some katakana in it and like vice versa. Yeah. When I was growing up, I thought katakana was strictly for foreign words and hiragana and kanji was strictly for Japanese words, but that's not.
No, it's just to help you sound out some foreign words 100%. That maybe don't exist in hiragana.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's why it was developed.
Yeah.
But now it's like used intertwined with the hiragana, so you have
which is so confusing.
You have to learn the alphabet. I'm not going to be able to learn kanji. I know I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to try, obviously, but I know that I can't.
It's so difficult.
I'm just
focusing.
I'm just focusing on hiragana and katakana.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll learn enough to be able to find ourselves a traditional Japanese artist, tattoo artist.
Oh yeah. Honey, they're going to see us and they're going to be like, yes.
They're the ones.
I do also want to like go across to South Korea and get a tattoo in South Korea as well.
Yeah, we'll have to start doing some research on different artists.
I love South Korea so much. I'm so excited to go.
Yes. And on that topic, if any of you have any suggestions for us, artists in Asia, or any extra information, hit us up.
Oh my God, yeah.
If you are an artist.
If you are a tattoo artist.
Be sick?
In South Korea or Japan.
Oh my God.
And you want to tattoo us.
Oh my God.
They just happen to find
and you're
this
down
podcast.
To just like, because you know that we're down to just receive whatever you're willing to give.
Oh my God.
It'd be cool as hell.
I love that.
Anyway,
my God.
Yeah, so I think that this is probably a good place to taper off this episode.
Yeah, because I'm getting heated.
I mean, it's good. I think that it sparks a good level of discussion on it. So,
and anyone from our community who's listening to this, I would love to hear how you feel about people who are not from our community getting traditional artwork done on them.
Yeah.
Slide into my DMs and let me know, because I want to know if I'm just being overly sensitive.
Yeah, also, yeah, no, you're not being overly sensitive. I'm telling you that right now. No gaslighting. Like, I'm so anyway, we're gonna have to do a whole other episode talking about stuff like this.
Oh my God.
You know, making political statements and such.
Yeah.
But that's the Hafu It this week.
You know?
We're just telling you the Hafu It.
We're just being real.
That's the first time I've used that in that way. Anyway, well, that's the Hafu It.
That's the Hafu It.
Thank you so much for coming to our TED Talk.
Yeah. Where can they find you on the social medias?
Oh my goodness. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at This is Kyoko.
Yeah. And if you just want to follow our podcast's Instagram, you can find us at Hafu It. If you want to find me specifically, you can find me at saku.miki. I'm only on Instagram. And like Kyoko said, it's very rare that I actually go on it. But yeah, slide into my DMs. I will hit you back. Also, a shout out to our Chicago Hafu sibling who wanted us to do a tattoo episode.
Yeah.
Our number one.
Our number one stan. Truly, thank you so much for all of your support. For
all of your support.
For your episode suggestion.
Yeah.
It obviously went really, really well.
I'm also very sorry for screaming so much in the podcast.
Hopefully you weren't listening to this one in your car.
Yeah. I live.
Yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. We're really, really happy to be part of something like this community.
Yeah, and to everyone who is a part of our community, please stay safe out there. There's obviously some very crazy things happening right now in regards to, you know,
Asian hate crimes.
So everyone, please be safe. And we love you.
We love you. Stay safe.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.